Good evening, National Federation of Independent Business. Before I begin my speech, I want to share a story with you about Sophia Johnson. Now, Sophia, she's a 22-year-old. She's young, of course. She eats healthy, she exercises, and does whatever she needs so she can be healthy. And for this reason, she believes she didn't need health insurance. But recently, Sophie was employed by a small business that offered her health care insurance at a discount price. So Sophie's mom forced her to get this health care insurance because she said it was just too much of a good deal to pass up. So now Sophie has health care insurance. And 1 week after Sophie started receiving her benefits, she gets into a car wreck. Thankfully, Sophie is okay, but without the insurance that she had received from her small business, she wouldn't have any way to pay for that insurance, or for her surgery, And Sophie isn't the only lucky one in the situation. We are as well. According to Jack Haley, the professor and senior health services researcher at George Mason University, March 5, 2011, 75% of uninsured medical care is paid for by the government. In other words, the taxpayers. So with the Affordable Care Act, it will require that every American have health care insurance. So this will drastically lower that 75% since everyone will have medical insurance to pay for their medical bills. So in this speech, I will argue that the Affordable Care Act is constitutional. 3 reasons to support my thesis. First, I will argue that insurance companies use discriminant rules to prevent Americans from getting health care insurance. Second, I will argue that the Affordable Care Act will regulate these rules so that every American will have a chance to get health care insurance. And third, I will argue that by keeping the Affordable Care Act active, it will not prevent small businesses from creating new jobs. So first, I'm going to argue that insurance companies use discriminant rules to prevent Americans from getting health care insurance. Women pay more than men for health care insurance. According to Maggie Greensberger, the co-president of the National Women Law Center, women pay $1 billion more than men for the same exact policy due to sex discrimination. Also, another study done by the National Women Law Center, it showed that insurance companies' best policies charge a 40-year-old woman that doesn't smoke more than a 40-year-old male smoker. And there are 7.5 million women insured by these companies right now who are at risk at paying more for insurance for the same exact policy. Now this here should be considered unconstitutional. Also, these insurance companies use, if you have any pre-existing conditions, you may be at risk for not being able to receive health care insurance or paying a higher rate. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources, these pre-existing conditions can be anything for something small like the flu or something major like cancer. So if you at any time in your lifetime became ill of the flu, you can be at risk of not being able to receive health care insurance. And also, if you already have an insurance plan with a specific type of insurance company and you become ill with something major like cancer, the insurance company can terminate your policy and then you will be health insurance-less and have to come up with a different way to pay for your medical expenses. Also, these insurance companies can raise their rates without justifying it. According to a study done by the Kaiser Family Foundation, it showed that families with health care insurance rates went up $13,375 in 2009 alone. Now, this is an increase of 5.5% at a time where inflation was down 0.7%. So now that I argue that insurance companies use discriminant rules to prevent Americans from getting health care insurance, I will now argue that the Affordable Care Act will regulate these rules so that every American will be able to get health care insurance. Now with the Affordable Care Act, women and men will pay the same exact amount priced for the same policy. In the Act, it states that these insurance companies cannot determine your price by any gender rules or any discrimination. So with the Affordable Care Act active, it will require that every insurance company give health care coverage to anyone, doesn't matter of your pre-existing conditions. So now it will be against the law for these insurance companies to refuse their health care coverage to you. Also, with the Affordable Care Act, these insurance companies will have to fill out justification forms and explain why are they raising your rates. And after they fill out this form, they will have to turn it into the government, and the government will have to approve whether or not they can raise your rates. So now that I argue that the Affordable Care Act will regulate these insurance companies' discriminant rules so that every American will be able to get health care insurance, I will now argue that with the Affordable Care Act active, it will not prevent any small businesses from creating new jobs. Now, according to a statement by the National Federation of Independent Business, the Affordable Care Act will prevent small businesses from creating new jobs. I will argue that this is not true. Before the Affordable Care Act, the biggest burden for small businesses were the high price of health care insurance. According to a Commonwealth Fund study, it showed that small businesses paid 18% more than larger firms for the same exact health care coverage. And according to Mike Roach, the owner of Palomar Clothing Company in Portland, Oregon, he's also a 36-year member of the National Federation of Independent Business. He states that before the Affordable Care Act, he didn't have enough money to pay for the health care coverage for his employees, so he had to lay off members as well as cut benefits. But now with the Affordable Care Act active, he's earning more and he's able to create jobs for other employees. Also, according to John Erzmayer, the president of a small businessman, he states that although the law is not perfect, but his small business gains much where he can create competition as well as earn more money so he can create new jobs and contribute to the economic growth. And also with these small businesses, they earn at least $855 million or 36% in just 10 years. So the Affordable Care Act does not only benefit every American, but it is geared toward helping these small businesses as well. So the Affordable Care Act is constitutional, and I gave you 3 reasons to support my thesis. First, I argue that these insurance companies use discriminant rules to prevent Americans from getting health care insurance. Second, I argue that the Affordable Care Act will regulate these rules so that every American will be able to get health care insurance. And third, I argue that with the Affordable Care Act active, it will not prevent small businesses from creating new jobs. So now that we know that the Affordable Care Act is constitutional, we all need health care insurance, so the Affordable Care Act will help us all get that so we can all be prepared for the unexpected, just like Sophie was. Thank you.